Loke sajjana shatpadairaharaha Peviyamanam muda Bhuyan harata pankajam kalimala pradvam sinashreyase Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Paramananda madhavam Yam brahma varunendra rudra marutaha Stunvanti divyaistavaihi Vedai sangapada kramopanishadaihi Gayanti yam samada Dhyana vastita tadgatena manasa Pashyanti yam yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Feeling better? Yes, much.
Sri Rama. What class is this? Oh, Gita. I'm seeing her. I got Shweta Sharma. I remembered.
I was in Mundaka all morning, so.
Oh. On intense orange. We'll see how intense it is. Huh? Water little more it needs. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. What are we discussing? Done.
No, we're doing stories.
Story also done.
Oh.
One day holiday. See what happens? What are we discussing?
Gita, then chapter 1.
So the allegoric.
We are discussing certain predominant allegories, which is the meat between the, meat means very hearty. The filling between the Dhyana shlokas and chapter 1 and the story. We finished the story. So certain how the Bhagavad Gita functions as an allegory. And we have already discussed. What have we discussed?
Teaching, the fertile ground for teaching is the battlefield, which represents conflict.
Yeah, so the battlefield as an allegory. And where is the battlefield? Right here. Yeah, and right here, right now, any given time, it can immediately become a battlefield, no problem. Yes. And then, what else was discussed? This is satsang. So,
I various archetypes of the inner child and the different characters.
Mm.
What is the incentive to follow dharma?
Dharma. So dharma itself is an important actor in this allegory, because the first one is what? Where is Kurukshetra? Kurukshetra is an external place on the way to Rishikesh after Delhi. But here we are talking of, right in the human heart, there is a battlefield. That is the first allegory. The second one has to do with the chariot itself, the whole chariot allegory. The chariot imagery is borrowed by the Gita from Kathopanishad. Abba, very nice. So, it's borrowed from the Kathopanishad. We have seen this in the Kathopanishad, have we not? Yes?
Yes.
Why it's taking so long? So, yes, so there we have seen this, where the Atmanam Rathinam Vidhi. Please see the body, Shariram Rathamevatu. Please see the body. Look upon the body as a chariot. I told you in the morning that it has ability to move, so this it's a hotel room plus car in one. It goes places. Yeah. Sometimes it runs, it's a sports car. Yeah, sometimes it limps, Some spark plugs are gone, or, it needs to go for an oil change. Yeah, everyone now is eating, what is that, omega 3s and 6s and 9s. That's the oil change. And why oil change? Because the same fellow was eating trans fat before. Now he's changing the oils that we eat. That's why it's oil change. So the body is a chariot. Chariot means it's nothing fancy. It just gets you to places. Most of the time it spends in the battlefield. That is the lot of the chariot. And then, who is the owner of the chariot? The one sitting in the chariot. So the one sitting in the body. What is that? Body sits everywhere. Who sits in the body? The one that's asking the question, okay? Yeah, that one. Oh, that one. Okay. I know that one. So, that is the one that is called what? That is the one that is called Rathin. The one who has the Ratha. And then what? Where is the Buddhi? Actually, that was my question also. Where is the Buddhi? Where is the Buddhi? The Buddhi here is what?
Krishna is driving.
Yeah, Krishna is the Buddhi. Bhagavan is the Buddhi. And what does Krishna represent here? Dharma, Viveka. At least those two things he represents. So the Buddhi is the one which is guided by Dharma and discernment about what it wants and where it needs to go. These are the driving forces, or should be the driving forces of the Buddhi. Even on the relative plane of achieving things in life, you have to be guided by Dharma. It's not only, you cannot dispense with Dharma. I'm not interested in spirituality, so I don't have to have Dharma. I don't need Vedanta, so I don't need Dharma. Nice try. But whether you need Vedanta or not, you need Dharma. We have seen that yesterday or day before. Then what? So therefore, we have to see this and understand that the Dharma is the guiding, is the fuel, is the unleaded petrol in the Buddhi. cleaned of ragadveshas. The lead is the sediments, that bring everything down. No pollutants. It's the premium, the most expensive, unleaded fuel. This is Dharma. The fuels the modern day, chariot, buddhi, etc. And then what? Then you have Viveka, which is the GPS, which is where to go. So without petrol, will the chariot run? No. Without fuel, it will not run. And without knowing where to go, also it will not run. So these two are the provided by the buddhi. The fuel for the chariot, like what kind of fuel to put, what is the driving force, and where is it headed. And this is represented by Bhagavan Krishna. And Krishna is the buddhi. That's why in the very nicely done traditional paintings or art forms, he's holding the reins, which I'm going to say are the minds, just as the Kathopanishad says. The horses are the senses. The mind, is represented by the reins, because the sense organs don't have free rein to go do any havoc they want, to graze in everyone's, yard. And, so therefore what? The mind gives a discipline to the sense organs and tells them where to go, which values to enshrine and not to touch this because it doesn't belong. So the mind sifts and sieves and decides which desires to fulfill and which not. And the mind should be in whose hands? The buddhi's hands. So that's why Krishna is holding the reins and turning back. This is the buddhi making the U-turn that we frequently speak of. Turning back to who? To oneself really, but here the teacher and the taught are purposefully split, because really the one who is seeking the teaching is shrouded by ignorance, is unable to understand this. So therefore the mind is, the buddhi is holding the reins, turning back and teaching the Ratha Swami, the owner of this chariot. So that's what you see in the traditional representations of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is not looking there. He's looking back at Arjuna. So this is the U-turn where the buddhi has finally come home. The buddhi is teaching the ahankara, so to speak. And so this is a very important allegory. And then that becomes a very nice foundation for other mini imageries. Like if the driver is a good driver, the horses and the cart do not part ways and then they reach their destination. And then if the driver is intoxicated, he's a drunk driver on local toddy, driving a bullock cart. And then what? The whole ensemble, the cart, the bullocks, the driver, and whatever is being carried in the cart, all end up in a ditch and have to be rescued. In the villages you don't call 911. You just, form a chain and haul this out of the ditch. We do have a policeman in the village, and his name is Kotwal. Kotwal means local village policeman. And what does he do? He, we don't have any fancy breathalyzer tests. He goes like this. How many fingers? And the drunk driver will say, 2. Okay, your vehicle is confiscated, impounded. What is the vehicle? Bullock cart. You have to walk home in circles. That's it. So this is what it is. And so we keep it simple. And so this is the whole thing. So the allegory becomes very an important foundation for the creative minded, as suggested by the Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad just gives 2 scenarios, one good and one not so good. Yastu, Vijnanavan bhavati samanaskaha sada shuchihi. And one who is in possession of their senses, and the one who is got viveka. Vijnanavan means the viveki. Samanaskaha, the ones whose reins representing the minds are nicely held by the buddhi. Sada shuchihi, free of ragadveshas, free of any impurities. Then what? Satu tatpadam apnoti, gains the freedom from samsara, that status, which is described as freedom from samsara. Yasmad bhuyona jayate, from which there is no return, no rebirth. And of course the Upanishad likes to, as we saw this morning, the methodology of the Upanishad is to show both the scenarios. It plays the advocate And the other side is what? Yastu avijnanavan bhavati. What is avijnanavan? Opposite of vijnanavan, simple. Amanaskaha, opposite of samanaskaha. So amanaskaha means the one who is having 25 thoughts in 1 nanosecond, and the one who doesn't know what to do with these thoughts, and the one who is constantly battling which one to do. And people are like that. Should I go to class? Nah, too many classes. No, but I should go. Or somebody else is going, so why shouldn't I go? Why should they get all the benefit? At least because they are going, I should go. Well, but it's just in the afternoon. And no, I think I should go. Maybe I shouldn't go. And like this they are thinking all the time. And then they look at the time. Oh, it's over anyway. So this is what is called sankalpa and vikalpa. Amanaskaha. The one who is not able to make a decision. Forget going to class. That's an important decision. But even to see what to have for breakfast, by the time the fellow decides it's lunchtime. And then he's so hungry, will eat all kinds of rubbish. And then have a stomachache. This is the whole idea that of being amanaskaha. And why are they amanaskaha? Why is this fellow amanaskaha? Because sada ashuchi, all negated. What is this ashuchi? Shuchi means pure, free of ragadvesha. Ashuchi means, don't say not pure, full of ragadveshas. Metaphorical, So not pure, correct. But we are talking of it metaphorically. Not that anyone is dirty. Shuchi means clean. So ashuchi must mean dirty or impure. No. Here the only impurity being ragadveshas. So the one who is filled with the clutter and the debris of ragadveshas. Like some people's cupboards in some people's houses. You open the door and what happens? You're instantly enlightened by all kinds of things falling on the head, And so that's how it is. So this is the clutter, the inner clutter. Yastu avijnanavan bhavati, amanaskaha, sada ashuchihi. And then what? Samsaram cha adhigacchati. What happens? Adhigacchati means comes back repeatedly into samsara. Already in samsara, cooks at a higher heat in samsara. Or simmers in samsara. You can take your, pick. When some dishes, especially elaborate dishes, they require to be simmered at the end for 20 minutes on medium heat. And that's actually worse than boiling, because when it reaches boiling point, everything is turned down. Now you cannot turn this down further, it's already low or medium, and then it keeps on, it has to keep on bubbling and simmering. And you can imagine a jiva inside that, simmering with all this, samsara simmer, that's what it is, it seems endless. This holding pattern is worse than being thrown in the vat of samsara. This person is permanently in samsara. How can you be permanently in samsara? When you become an infinite seeker instead of the seeker of the infinite. So this, in short, is the chariot allegory. The chariot becomes a very important allegory because this is we are never allowed to forget that Krishna is actually, the chauffeur of the chariot, and that he has put the chariot in the middle of the two armies. And as about the fight was about to take place, and Arjuna has a panic attack. He has a full-blown nervous breakdown. We'll see that in chapter 1. And so that's how the doctors now know how to diagnose nervous breakdown, because all the symptoms are given here. What happens when you panic? Everything is given, one by one. Blow by blow account. All the symptoms are there. So, Bhagavad Gita was the first one to showcase panic attack. And what is panic attack? What kind of a disease does it fall under? Don't say neurological, mental, emotional. No. It is a special kind of a disease called Bhava Roga. It is a symptom of Bhava Roga. What is Bhava? Become. So the disease of becoming, which is very unbecoming, samsara disease. is Bhavaroga, the disease of always wanting to become something or the other and not becoming this, that or the other, feeling sad, bad, mad as a result. This is called Bhavaroga, and feeling a lack, feeling insecurity, feeling fear, feeling distress, and as a result what? Feeling like a loser, like an underachiever, a loser. This is the underbelly of samsara. This is also called samsara fever. Yeah, Bhavaroga. So the symptom of Bhavaroga is panic. Is panic on account of severe doeritis. So, kartritvam. First you think I'm the doer, and what is itis? Whenever the word, the suffix itis comes, itis is a pratyaya. And itis means it is inflammation. Yeah. So doeritis means the head is swelled with doership. And just before it explodes, you have the panic attack. This is what it is. So you see, the allegory functions very well here, because the one who is having the panic attack and the one who is teaching are really are presented as two different people, whereas inside one's psyche, it's really one and the same person, but the split is really there because there is the witness of everything who is unaffected. So there is a Bhagavan in everyone who is unaffected. Like even the two people who went to, in the beginning of this chariot imagery in the Kathopanishad, two people go to a cavern, a cave, and start to drink. What are they drinking? Karma cocktail. Yeah, little bit of punya, little bit of papa. Shaken up nicely and served by the bartender Chitragupta. This is what they are drinking. And then two are drinking? No, only one is drinking. But, when the people came to smoke out these elements, when the law enforcement agency came, and if 10 people are there and only one of them is not doing something illegal, do you think they're going to believe him and leave him there? No, he too is caught. Why? Sahavasa dosha means the problem of being along, being with all the other doers. The non-doer is also caught. But the non-doer is simply watching. One is drinking, one is watching. Likewise in the other Upanishad, the one is the berryholic, addicted to berries of karmaphala. And the other one is what? Simply watching. Oh, will you have some? No, thank you. I'm just going to watch you. So in one heart itself, both the witness and the afflicted one are there, because the afflicted one is not really there. It's a projection of ignorance. But really it's kind of split because of this ignorance. And so this is portrayed through the chariot, through the imagery, through everything, and through Bhagavan, externalizing Bhagavan, so that one can see that Krishna is really guiding this chariot with him. So that is the second part of this whole chariot allegory. Then thirdly we have another very important allegory called Daivam. What is Daivam? The Bhagavan factor. Yeah. The Bhagavan factor, the unknown factor, what the atheist or the skeptic or the agnostic might call luck, hidden variable, unknown. We say Bhagavan. That is our name for luck. Oh, but why you have to say Bhagavan? How is Bhagavan responsible whether I have something or not? Because what you are having or not is your own karma, but it is being given back to you in certain ways. So this is what is called Daiva in our tradition. Devasya idam, Daivam, that is not belonging to you. Because even though the fruits of your own action, it's belonging to Bhagavan. But how mean of Bhagavan to take the fruits of my action? No, it will be given back to you. But in time and in the order that it is not in your hands. This is what the whole thing is. And the Bhagavad Gita teaches this in a nice way, teaches it directly in the 3rd chapter. But then through the stories of the things surrounding the start of the Mahabharata war, this Daiva is enshrined in very ingenious ways. First we have the story that you already know. I'm just telling you that so you don't ask me to tell it again. What is that story? How did Krishna become the charioteer of Arjuna? You know this or not? Yeah, yes. Good. So, then how did he become? Because he was asked. He was asked to, because you can't just hang around someone who is fighting a war, so you become useful. And the chariot has only 2 seats, one in front, one in back. The chariot, the king or the commander-in-chief has to sit in the back. So only one seat is there where Krishna will sit. That's how he became the thing. But then this is also very allegorical. Why? Who is driving? Bhagavan is driving. I am sitting back, relaxing and enjoying the ride. That's why I talked about the chariot imagery first, because these 2 allegories go side by side. The chariot imagery and this whole the metaphor of Daivam go in tandem with each other. So consider for a moment, the chariot is the body, correct? And then the charioteer is this indweller, the confused indweller of the body, mind, sense complex, the one who owns it up. The ahankara is the indweller, correct? The jiva, the ahankara, and the jiva ahankara, who is a control freak, is now, what has this jiva done? Given up the reins to Bhagavan. Yes. You take me where I need to go. I have total trust. This is scary. But Arjuna was able to do that. You take me. And also in Arjuna's choice we see the Daivam. He took the unknown factor. He said, let me take that piece of luck which you signify. Oh, I'm not going to fight, Arjuna. Never mind, Krishna. He says, you don't have to fight. You just be with me. And his trust was so much. If you are with me, I'll be okay. This is amazing. That is that Shraddha. And that is the bhakti he had. And then what did he do as a result? He just let go of the reins which otherwise he would have just got entangled in. Yeah. That's how, when sometimes you have to let go of the driving seat, especially if you're sitting in the back. And in the plane you have to do that. Because, that's why from the pilot's cockpit, sometimes they make the announcement. They say that we are flying at 38,000 feet. And then, there will be some turbulence, but don't worry, we'll take care of it. You just put your belt, and then what do they say? Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. Because what else can you do? I can sit forward, not relax, and not enjoy myself. Who are you going to benefit to? Who is going to be hurt by that? You yourself. And can you do anything else? Nowadays, after all these terrorist attacks, there are these, the doors to the cockpit have been strengthened and you cannot even go anywhere near there. You cannot go near there. And especially American flights are like that. They say there is a law in America-bound flights that you must not even congregate near the bathroom. People should not congregate anywhere. You should just be sitting quietly in your seat. Yeah, and then pried with a shovel afterwards because you're so stiff, you're not allowed to move for 10 hours. But this is how it is. So what else are you going to do? You are forced to sit back because you cannot go into the cockpit. There are reasons why. Because then you will try to tell the pilot how to fly. And the pilot doesn't want your input. That's why they close the door. They are not interested in your input. And even if you say, I have under my belt so many flying hours, they will say, you should have flown your own plane. Why are you with this carrier? That's why it's called carrier. It carries you and deposits you. This is what it is. So you have to let go. You have to let go of a lot of things. You put the letter in the post and you can't call the mailman. You can't call the mail carrier. It's not in the mailbox. Did you pick it up? That's why can't you call? Well, I don't have his mobile number. Well, that's for good reason. That you don't have the fellow's mobile number, otherwise you'll be calling him. Did you sort it properly? Did you take it to the post office? What's the clerk's name over there? What's the officer's name, just in case? What's their numbers? And then you call the next day. Has it left Eugene? Has it gone there? Where is it now? You have to let go. Because even though nowadays they give tracking number for everything, including your firstborn child, there is a tracking number. But, even for that tracking to start showing up, it will take a day or two. It won't be instantaneous. So you have to let go. And really speaking, all this control is just a semblance. It's a recipe for disaster. Control is a recipe for disaster in your life and in the life of all your loved ones. That's all it is. The more stronger is your hold, then what happens? There is just more misery, more anger, more fear, more anxiety. So this image of Arjuna sitting in the back, allowing Krishna to drive, this is very interesting. Even for the control freak, who is driving the life? Bhagavan. Yeah. Bhagavan is driving. Are you in charge of anything? No. Do you know what your next thought is going to be? Don't think so hard. No. You don't know what your next thought is going to be. You're not even in charge as a thinker. You can't even choose you could choose your thoughts, but before that so many other thoughts will come. They will come clamoring. You don't know what your next thought is going to be. And so forget, any other action. You're not even in charge of thoughts. So what can you control? No, I control my paycheck. I go, I come back, once a month I'm paid. If that money is supposed to come to you, it will come somehow. Oh, really? Yeah, it will come. We have a saying that the name of the person who is going to eat the food is written on the grain of on the very grain, or on the sauce, whatever it is. So it is written in the sauce. Who is going to consume? And you can never avoid that. You see this. You sometimes may bake cookies for someone, and then someone else comes and then takes them away. And then you say, how did this happen? And sometimes you want to cook something for someone. This happens very often, in India at least. I don't know about here. Here it doesn't happen because no one cooks. So that takes care of it. But in India this happens a lot. Is that you want to cook something for somebody, and then for such a person, for this person, always whatever you try to cook comes out burnt. Yeah. It burns, it spoils, or you don't have the ingredient. It's either their luck or or your bad luck or their bad luck, or a combo bad luck of you not being able to cook for them. And then all you have is, they find you fanning the whole house and a burnt smell when they arrive. What happened? Well, I was making pakodas for you, but they all got charred. Here is some carbon instead, have it. Crispy with a hint of potatoes. It all got charred. And the next time, now what happened? The sambar got burnt. Still the person is airing out the whole house. Happens repeatedly. I've seen many people. And then, these are people who these people care for so much, but are unable to make anything. And then there is a neighborhood moocher. The one who just shows up accidentally at lunchtime at various people's homes. I was just passing by. How can you be passing by? You live, 20 kilometers away. No, I had some work here. What was the work? To drop into your house. That was my work. So you have the neighborhood moocher who nobody wants to cook for. But whenever that fellow comes, that fellow has a 5-course lunch and dinner and happily burps and goes. This is what is called Daivam. There is no control. There is no control. If you are supposed to eat, food will come. You can try. You can try. You may have to not eat for a few days. Because Bhagavan wants to make sure you have let go of the reins. So don't get alarmed if nothing comes. And for a few days. But it will come. Definitely it will come because you are supposed to eat. That it's not yet time, to go to the other side. Simply put. So therefore what? Therefore, in fact, you are not in charge of feeding this body. Bhagavan is feeding this body. You think you are feeding this body, and Bhagavan is udara enough, exalted enough, generous enough to let you have that illusion that I am taking care of this body. You're not. What are you doing? You're helping it age and die. That's all you're doing. Look at the lifestyle. That's all everyone is doing. So many, the oxidative stress and too many trans fats and God knows what else, and then all the toxins and the pollutants and everything, and then collectively we are making this body just sweeping it towards the grave. That's all we are doing. We are not doing anything to take care of it. That it is being maintained despite our bad behavior is Daivam. This is what it is. This is Daivam. And so here you're not in charge of the body, you're not even in charge of your own food. Try it, really try it. Just say, if I'm supposed to eat, let food come. It won't come. At least today dinner you can forget, okay? Yeah. And then what? Tomorrow breakfast, if I'm supposed to eat, let it come. Who knows? Maybe the significant other will surprise you. Yeah, who knows? So like this it will come. Suddenly the neighbor will bring something. The neighbor who never comes and visits suddenly will say, I felt like giving this to you. Suddenly something will happen. And suddenly there is a satsang. Suddenly there is, some food appearing. This is what happens. Same thing. If you're meant to have money, it will come. If you're meant to have this, it will come. And to know that knowledge is depicted by Arjuna letting go of the reins and learning to not be a backseat driver. Take a left, take a right. Are you going the right way? Where are you going? Are you sure? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Arjuna is not doing that. He's learning. So this is what is called the hidden variables. Because there is many a slip between what? Cup and lip, hand and lip. Lip and slip, and so many slips. In fact, the whole life is full of missteps. So many slips, and you cannot anticipate all of them. Puja Swamiji always tells a story. That the fellow looked to the left, looked to the right like a good citizen. No car was coming, crossed the road. But this was an Indian road. So did not account for the hidden variable. What was the hidden variable? Banana peel. Right in the center, and he had an instant skating lesson, surfboarding lesson, and then what? And then landed up in the hospital. This is what it is. With a few bones that needed attending to. Why only he slipped, not the other one? Daivam. It's not accidental. It's not a conspiracy. One's own karma phala comes back in certain ways. And like this there are many stories. And there's the story of these two boys. One of them was an atheist. He said, what Daivam? Ha! There is no Daivam. It's all what you earn is what you get, and it's just luck. It's not Daivam. And there was another boy, his classmate, who was always going to the temple. Always just so devout. And even on that day when they were having this fight, he saw one temple on the way back from school. They were coming back home from school, and he slipped into the temple and prayed. And as he was coming out of the temple, a scorpion bit this devout fellow. And the other one, meanwhile, was jumping with glee. Not only the scorpion did not bite him, he also found a bag of gold on the roadside. And of course, the devout fellow was very agitated. I went into the temple and came out with a tourniquet because, they tied that so that the poison would be contained and not spread everywhere. So, and this fellow did not go into the temple and was rewarded by gold coins. How is this possible? Of course, this is in ancient Indian stories, and there were holy people around all the time. So they found someone in orange and they said, someone who knew, who had the foresight and who could see the future. They said, what is the reason? We are really agitated. Please tell us. That devout boy said. And he who could see the future said, well, you were supposed to die today. But because you went to the temple, it was mitigated by a contained poisonous encounter. Oh, but what about the other one? Well, he was supposed to find 100 bags of gold. But because he was not, influencing this, because Daivam doesn't mean it's totally out of your control. It is out of your control, but I access it in the form of conversations called prayer. We saw that this weekend. So because he was not in relationship to this Daivam, he didn't even believe in it. Before he came upon that place, another thief, took all 100 bags and by mistake one of them fell out of his cart, and that is what he had to speak of. So you see, one was actually a lessening. In both cases were lessened. One was lessening the papa, and in the other one, lessening of the punya took place. So this is Daivam. And my relationship to this Daivam, this uncontrolled factor, is not to sit by and cry and lament. That is not what the Bhagavad Gita teaches throughout. Oh, it's all Daivam. Now I got a new word to complain upon. First I said I'm guilty, I'm hurt, I'm victimized, it's them, it's the Jagat, it's the outlaws, it's the in-laws, it's these laws, or it's the lawlessness. So many things I had to point. And now I have a new term, it's Daivam. Crazy. No. This is a victimization. This is, feeling sorry for oneself. That's not what the Bhagavad Gita teaches. Neither does it teach passivity. The way to operate upon the Daivam is to be in connection with it. Because if I have free will and the action is provided for me, and I am powerless to save the situation or to change a particular scenario, I am powerless, but I still have the ability to act in other ways to influence that situation. And that is through prayer. That is how I make a bridge to Daivam and whisper in its ear, perhaps you can change your mind. Please don't make me your next target. Perhaps you can mitigate this karma that is coming in full force. So you see, the act of prayer is seen as a direct intervention to Daivam. This is what Arjuna did. He said, I surrender. I cannot see what is coming. I am blindsided by this war, blindsided by my blind delusion, my delusional love for those who are on the other side. In fact, they don't deserve love, but I feel empty without them. And the prospect of killing them fills me with dread, not just fear, but with severe dread. I'm having a panic attack. I'm not able to let go of doership. So, therefore, he says, I fall at your feet. This is how he is relating to Bhagavan, Krishna, who represents that Daivam. He says, Anyam Sharanam na jane. I don't know of any other recourse. Sharanam Anyam na jane. I don't know of any other recourse. I don't know what to do. Because Bhava Roga has hit. I have recognized Bhava Roga. And he says as much. And he says, what will I do with this, war? Why should I win the war? For the sake of victory. Victory for the sake of whom? For what? Kingdom. He's very logical. And he says, kingdom I will not be able to enjoy without these loved ones who will doubtlessly perish in the war. And he also says that this sadness to which I am subject, I am not going to overcome. Kingdom is not going to make me less sad. Sad fellow plus kingdom is not going to help, you know. Sad fellow plus riches, not going to help. Sad fellow with a few, you know, wine, women and song and dance, not going to help. Sad fellow with some more things to do, not going to help. These are all little distractions. He has understood that. He has said, what I need is to go to the bottom of this. And he says, I don't know what to do. I'm falling at your feet. Please accept me as a disciple and teach me what to do. So this Daivam is very interesting because it leads one to prayer first as an action, because I recognize in this action my ability to influence my surroundings. And then it leads me to being prayerful, which is an attitude that informs every action. And then it also can lead me to the teaching, as it did for the case of Arjuna, in the case of Arjuna. Leads me to the teaching. Here, that's why he was totally nonplussed. He didn't know what to do. And then he was intelligent enough to recognize that the problem is centered on sadness and feeling overwhelmed. And that feeling has to be interrogated, has to be cleaned out. And he doesn't know where it's coming from and why he has this. And he needs a solution. So you see that Daivam is a very important part of this whole thing. And so that Daivam is shown to us in various ways. And the whole time, whenever the arrows, because Krishna was with Arjuna, and who was sitting in front? Krishna had to sit in front. Every arrow he had to dodge first, and he protected Arjuna just by sitting there. His placement itself protected Arjuna from all the arrows. And Arjuna had some things to fear from a few of the people from the other side, mainly Karna. Karna was totally equal to him. Yeah. Karna had learnt archery from Parashurama. So he was very, very skilled in archery. And he had 2 missiles. One was called Shakti Astra, which had Arjuna's name on it. And the other one also had Arjuna's name on it, just in case the first one, got waylaid. And the second one was called Naga Astra, a snake-like missile that Arjuna could not have dodged at all. And the Naga Astra was so relentless that if it did not hit the person, it would come back from the back and decapitate you. It was powered to do that. Yeah, I mean, these drones and smart bombs look like toys, look like children's toys compared to what we read in the Mahabharata. Yeah. So, you see what happened? The Karna deploys Shakti and it's coming straight at Arjuna. Krishna doesn't know what to do. But Krishna puts Bhima's son in front. Bhima itself is huge. Bhima fell in love with a Asura princess. And Ghatotkacha was the son of Bhima. Got all the genes of strength and everything. So Ghatotkacha fought with Karna and Krishna made both of them equally endowed in strength so that the battle went on and on and on, and then Shakti got tired. The Astra could not be deployed. It was used up to kill Ghatotkacha, to vanquish him. Then Karna releases the Nagastra. Oh, that's a terrible one. And what happens then? It was destined to hit Arjuna. And if it hadn't hit, what would it have done? It would have pursued him relentlessly. It was not a missile that would forget. You could not deprogram it. Like these bombs in movies we see, like it's counting down 10, 9, 8. In James Bond films you see 7, 6, 5, 3, 2. And then the hero comes in and you have to cut the correct wire. Yeah. Otherwise you will be wired, that's all. So then the hero knows exactly which wire to cut, and then the bomb becomes fuss, it just sizzles out of existence. Nagastra is not like that. You could not punch a number and then when it was said 3, 2, 1, that thing would change its mind. It was stubborn, it was focused, and it could only be programmed, it couldn't be deprogrammed. So what does Krishna do? He said he's not going to fight, he's not going to protect, but Daivam, the Daiva protect. It was not him as Mr. Krishna or as an entity. It is Arjuna's own karma phala that is protecting, because his act of choosing Krishna is probably the greatest act of prayer. Yeah. Only you be with me. Nobody I need, he said. So he makes the chariot dip down when Nagastra comes, because it is aimed at the neck. So what happens? It touches his crown and knocks off his crown. And Nagastra is not terribly bright, as it turns out. Why? Because once it has hit the crown, it thinks I have hit the fellow and doesn't come back to pursue. See how ingenious. Krishna could have driven it away, but it would have been hot in pursuit. He just tips the chariot below. He presses it down so that it goes a few feet and it just knocks off his crown. This is a master stroke. And so did he tip the chariot? Or maybe there was some quicksand there and the chariot tipped? Doesn't matter what you say. Doesn't matter how you look at it. But the long and short of it is that the Nagastra was happy. Okay, I have found, what is that? Mission accomplished, it said. Target caught, target hit, target fell on ground. It said, it recorded it to itself. And it went away happily, Now I'm going to the Bahamas, it said, I need a vacation. It's been very stressful waiting for this war. So it took itself off to meet other robot astras and, have a good holiday. It didn't come back in hot pursuit, and Arjuna's head was saved. But to lose the crown in the war is also a shameful thing. Yeah, to lose your headgear for a king, to lose the crown is a shameful thing. But that shame the prarabdha was so strong, just like that boy who got bit by the scorpion, the temple-going boy who got bit by the scorpion. Don't look at me as though you've never heard the story. Not even 15 minutes ago I told this. So just like the temple boy who got bit by the scorpion, and there was a strong karma there, and that strong karma could not completely go away, so it was mitigated. That's what it is. The strong karmas are mitigated and the weak karmas are taken care of. And Arjuna's act of prayer is to just tell Krishna, you be with me, I choose you. So that is Daivam. And Daivam, there is no Sanskrit word. And perhaps grace, we can call it grace. Daivam means grace. The hidden variable, all these are just, kind of imperfect translation. There is really no translation. Daivam could be that, that which you cannot control and that which you overcome with the help of grace. That is accessing Daivam. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is about influencing your world of other jivas, of Jagat, of your own karma phalas, influencing it through dharma, through prayer, and through living an impeccable life, so much so that in going with the flow, you become the flow. And you become ready for this knowledge that, says there is no flow, all there is you. The flow is as though. that knowledge which makes the flow go is Vedanta. Yeah. First you go with the flow, then that is the first portion of the Veda, and then you make the flow go. This is this is what it is. Yeah. When you become the flow, there is no more flow that is separate from you. The flow is as though you make the flow go. That is how it is. And so this Daivam is a very important message in the entire Gita, a very important imagery or the lesson of Arjuna choosing Krishna, not any big astra or not Krishna's army, but Krishna himself. Krishna is depicted as Bhagavan, as Ishvara, who has come down to teach dharma, really. Why? Because there was an imbalance of dharma and in the universe. Whenever adharma takes over, then somebody has to come, who is not of this universe to teach a few things. This is the promise that is given in the chapter 4. And so this is what is the whole thing about Avatara, is Ishvara walking on the earth. So this is what we say. And then people ask, why isn't Ishvara here now? Well, maybe things are not so bad. Yeah, maybe things are not so bad. Gita study is going on. Upanishad study is going on. People go to temples once in a while. People pray. People pray means they are dharmic. They follow dharma. And so this Daivam is so important for our understanding. And so here, taking recourse in Krishna, first, you please come with me and be with me in the war. That was the first time he surrenders. And the second time he surrenders is, I don't see any way out of this. I'm trapped in this sorrow. You please teach me. What is this sorrow all about? This is what is called Daivam. So this is, I think of all these allegorical messages, this is the one that is the most important. And the Daivam also connects all of them beautifully, because the Daivam guides the body, mind, chariot. The Daivam also decides what choices to make in life, because the Daivam is also at the back of this whole dharma-adharma conflict. If Daivam is there, I am protected. So that grace, which is a kavacha of protection, this is what is called Daivam. That grace, which wraps me up. And this grace is not some dispensation from Bhagavan, some vibhuti coming. That is not what we are talking about. Grace is my own stockpile of good karma, which I access through the ATM code called prayer. Because when you go to ATM, you need a code, right? Yeah. When you go to take the money out, you need a code. Without code, the money will not come. Even if you say, oh please, it's not going to come. And so you have to punch in the code, and then it will cough up the money, right? Yeah. So grace is like that. Grace is in your bank account, and to access it, it's not not a big thing to see this. To access that is the code is prayer. The code is surrender. And then the bank account goes, makes all those nice noises that we are used to. Yeah. Some kind of whirring, clicking, money coming out noises. Ah, good. Yeah. It's your own money, but you're so happy to see it. It's not some neighbor's money. And you're not robbing a bank. It's your own money that you had deposited. And in fact, you should be sad to see it, because there's less of it there. But nobody is sad to see. Oh, $100 came out. You only punched in $100. You only punched in that whatever ABCD, whatever code you had. And then when the $100 come out, all 28 teeth come out. Why? Because that is exactly like grace. It's your own karma phala, your own bank account. And then you say the prayer, and you connect to that bank account. And then you pray for it to yield the dividends. and some magic happens in the life. That's all it is. This is but except there is some few differences. Here you don't need to actually go to the bank. The bank is wherever you are. Yeah. And then your real bank in this life is managed by, corporations that have no scruples. But this bank is managed by the most dharmic entity ever, correct? Yeah. And there you have to have your code which is decided, and then this is how it is. Here you can pray in code, in so many codes. And as long as the heart is sincere in any language, anything, it will still yield the dividends. And your bank account is finite, this bank account, because it is connected to Sanchita, it is, infinite. Infinite bank, infinite, place of punya. Why? Because even while you are withdrawing, there is no loss. Because when you are withdrawing, you are doing it in a prayerful way. So you are creating good karma as well. And simply sitting in Vedanta class, your bank account, you're accruing funds there. Yeah. You're accruing funds. That's why when Swamiji goes to even rural areas, everyone comes and sits, even though he's teaching in English. And I was surprised. He was also surprised. And somewhere, Rayalaseema or somewhere near there, he had gone to some small place for some Kumbhabhishekam, and then so many people, full of people. And not one word they understood. Not one word. Because they are in the heart of the village. And then, when time came for giving prasad, he asked, are they understanding anything? Ask them, because there were some interpreters there. And the lady happily saying, we don't understand anything. Then why are you here day after day? 5 days you've been coming and sitting for 2 hours each day. Punya, 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 she said. Yeah, I'm getting good karma sitting in front of you. That is the Shraddha. That is what it is. Yeah. See, I'm giving you one more reason to attend class. You're stockpiling on punya. And so it's not that it is, when I was small and I was hearing all these, grandmother stories from Ramayana, Mahabharata, and I was always worried. I remember thinking, I was concerned, what if all the punya runs out? What will happen then? The punya, you fine, you pray, bank account, you're just keeping on doing this, but we are only used to a finite bank. Yeah. You don't understand that in asking itself you are creating the grace. Just by the mere asking in that way, that prayer itself produces that punya. So it's not that it's one-way street and you're just, debit, no credit. Yeah. It's funny, even though we have two kinds of cards. One is called debit card. Another one is called credit card. Both of them are debits. It's an illusion. Yeah. But praying to this grace is truly a credit. Is credit. Because you don't passively watch on and become a victim of circumstances. You become strong. You become ready to face everything. And the Gita also shows us an important thing. What does it show? It shows us that this Daivam comes, when does this ATM called Daivam get activated? When there are 6 other things in place. Yeah. Udyamam. What is Udyamam? Hard work. You can repeat. Udyamam. Sahasam. Sahasam means the perseverance. Dhairyam. Yeah, courage. Buddhi. Buddhi, nobody needs to translate, hopefully. Shaktihi. Resources. Parakramaha. Parakramaha, enthusiasm. the ability to see not leave it midway and run. When the going gets tough, you don't get going. Udyamam sahasam dhairyam
Udyamam sahasam dhairyam
buddhi shaktif parakramah
buddhi shaktif parakramah
shadete
shadete
yatra vartante
yatra vartante
tatra devah
tatra devah
sahayakrit.
sahayakrit.
Where these 6 things are present, there the Daivam lends a helping hand. It's not that you stop working and just sit and pray. You do all that you can do. And when something is out of hand, you deploy prayer. And you do everything that you do prayerfully. Udyamam sahasam dhairyam buddhi shaktif parakramah shadete yatra vartante. Where these 6 things truly reside, tatra deva sahayakrit. There Bhagavan lends a helping hand. Even in English, God helps those who? That's all it is. So this is what the whole thing is. And the Bhagavad Gita is very, very special for these reasons. We'll see more tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnasya
Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, I did promise we'll see how intense this is.